Welcome everybody to the Success Quickie.
Yay! Hey everybody, I believe we are live. We are going live. Just hang tight if we're not officially live. But welcome. Yes, we are live now. All right, cool.
We're live.
We're live.
I'm going to time us because we got to make it quick.
Yes, this is the first quickie that we talked about, the Success Quickie. If you are watching this, I believe we're on Facebook. We are on LinkedIn. We are on YouTube. And if you are seeing us live, hit some of those buttons. I see Stevie on LinkedIn. He is very curious about what we're about to do in our quickie. Yes. Hey, Stevie. All right, cool. Apryl, you want to jump in since we only got 10 minutes for this?
Yes.
Quickie?
So today we're going to talk about 3 things to consider when starting a new routine. We just figured this was a great way to kick off because this is a new routine that Gary and I are starting, and we can use this as an example while we share this, because we start new routines all the time. You might be, deciding on a new workout regimen. Hey, Stephanie. You might be starting a new sleeping pattern, or you might be starting to take a new class, and that will shift how your days are, and you want to be efficient. That's our goal here. So here are 3 tips. I'm going to start with number 1, which is put whatever this routine is in your calendar. Now, it depends on what this routine is. You have to think about, how often is this thing happening? But make sure you block off time for it, because if you don't, then you might end up forgetting to drill that routine into your daily day-to-day, and there has to be some sort of time space for it, right? So understand the recurring nature. Is it happening every week, every day? It's better if you have a routine happening around the same time every day, because sometimes if you're doing it once in the morning or once at night, sometimes that just can throw things off. So that is tip number 1. Put it in your calendar.
Yes, stick it in.
Put it in. All right, and that's tip number 1.
Yes. All right. So Floyd, over to tip number 2 is you need to understand what you're going to sacrifice. If you are, starting a new routine, maybe it's a writing routine, or Apryl, one thing that you may or may not know about her is that she is learning the ukulele. And so you have to just, first and foremost, why are you doing it? And then 2, understand that you can't do everything. So in order to get, good at this and really start to become natural, you have to understand, what sort of things are you going to sacrifice, and you have to make it a priority. I just got back from a conference in Boston called Inbound. And if we've met and now we're friends on any of the platforms and you're watching this, hello, leave a comment, letting us know where you are and where you're from. But at that conference Inbound in Boston last week, author Elizabeth Gilbert was the opening keynote. She's the author of Eat, Pray, Love, Big Magic, a new novel, City of Girls. And she talked about, if you want to, do what she calls creative living and, do things that you're passionate about and be creative, you have to make something sacred. Far too often, especially us busy professionals, we make everyone else a priority. And then when it comes to doing things that we want to do, like learn how to play the ukulele or train for that half marathon, or just get better at whatever, thing you want to do, it always falls to the wayside, or not always, but often it can fall to the wayside when other people's priorities show up. Now, if this becomes something sacred and you understand what you need to sacrifice in order to achieve that, it makes it easier for you. And so now we need to jump over to number 3, Apryl.
Yes. And one additional thing about tip number 2, just to think about it from this perspective, we are awake how many hours of the day, ideally? If we're sleeping 8 hours, then we've got the 16 hours to work with. And so when you introduce a new routine, you're also probably taking away something that you used to be doing. So if you're deciding that you're going to read 10 pages a night, and there's you never were doing that before. What are you sacrificing? Are you taking away TV time? Are you taking away sleep time? Really think about, the fact that we don't create extra time. Like, time just is always moving. So that's tip number 2. That's like my favorite tip.
Yeah. And Kathy over on LinkedIn said, make sure that you're penciling yourself in. That is important. Thank you so much, Kathy.
Yes, that is amazing. Okay, tip number 3 is communicate to your supporters. This may be your family, your friends, people who this routine is going to impact. So, just recently my husband started a new job, which means that we needed to have like a really solid morning and evening routine because he's not home as much. And so I had to communicate to him, I really need you to help out on these 3 things when you're at home, because I need to make sure that I still have time for my other routines. We're always putting together, tons and tons of routines all at the same time. So in order to not disrupt those things, we need to make sure that if it's going to impact somebody else, that they allow themselves to adjust as well. Because if they're going with the expectation that you have, that you're still doing what you were doing before, they might act a little bit differently. But if you make your friends and family, anyone who is going to be affected by this change in routine, aware that you're doing it, then it will smooth that process out way better. So those are your 3 tips. And before we go, we just wanted to tell you, this is something that we started to do. Gary and I are the success team that runs the Accountability Success Circle, which is a networking, coaching, support, accountability program that helps you have more fun while getting stuff done. And so if you're curious about what this whole thing is, don't fret, because you can just check the link that Gary has in this video, which is a link to some information about the program. And I just encourage you to check it out. If you know anyone who would benefit from a program like this, we would appreciate if you send them our way. And that's all I have to say, unless you've got anything else, Gary.
Yeah. I first and foremost, thank you so much for tuning in. And to piggyback on what April said in number 3, it's all important to surround yourself with people that are going to push you in the right direction and inspire you. And so that's one of the reasons why we are part of the Accountability Success Circle, and we're working with some amazing people. And let us know what you think. Are there some other things? What are you using to help yourself? Good habits. We want to keep this short and brief because it's just a quickie. We wanted to give you this afternoon delight of some insights and information. So leave in the comments other stuff that you like to do, and we'll chime back in. So that is it for me.
All right. Bye.
Bye.